Akkodis is a company we develop for all medtech companies, their needs. So I will start a short video to introduce the company Akkodis and their possibilities in healthcare and life science. So we're working all over the world. We have in America maybe 30% of our turnover, in Europe 30%, and the rest of the world is 40% of our turnover. And we have here a short video to show you our benefits.
The future of life sciences and healthcare is in the making. Innovative diagnostic tools, rapid digitalization, and advanced personalization will launch us into a new age of patient centricity.
The industry is facing a wide range of challenges, but there is an even wider range of solutions. Utilizing artificial intelligence and deep learning to accelerate the development of cutting-edge treatments. Streamlining manufacturing in an ever-growing and regulated industry, ensuring safe and compliant medicines get to market faster, leveraging advanced connected devices and genomic data to deliver truly personalized healthcare and improved patient outcomes, taking advantage of insights from every step of the value chain to gain the advantage in an increasingly connected industry, nurturing the tech talent who will revolutionize the industry, supercharging digitalization and letting innovation thrive.
At Akkodis, we recognize and understand the multi-level challenges facing the industry. We offer expertise across the entire life cycle, from research and development to post-marketing. With over 3,000 dedicated life sciences and healthcare engineers and digital experts around the world, we are your end-to-end strategic partner. Let's get ready for the smarter future of the life sciences and healthcare industry together. Engineering a smarter future together.
Das ist jetzt das richtige Stichwort dafür, was macht eigentlich Akkodis. Wir entwickeln mit unseren Kunden zusammen, so we develop with our customers their solutions, their ideas in the medtech area. And here on that slide you can see some of our customers. We are ISO 13485 certified, and we can develop from the first idea to the final product. We developed for clinical studies the devices so that our customers can get from us the whole solution. And what do we have on our side? We have here a knowledge center. We say to that competence center medical engineer. We have a global team with global delivery. So medtech is most time there is necessary that there are teams working together. We are certified, that's what I said before. And for all that stuff we need some regulatory affairs specialists which are in our team. And we have, from our other capabilities, we have a lot of things like laboratories and also to build prototypes. We have the chance from our 50,000 engineers worldwide to use their capabilities in the medtech area. And that on that slide shows what that means. We have a team of medical engineers. We develop the hardware from smaller power to really very thin and tiny devices which have to be implemented in the body of the humans. We have some industrial designer which helps to make the products to the best what it have to look like. In the optical area, we're working together, for example, with Jena. So we have some specialists on our side, but we use external capabilities. And I said before, we have our own prototype shop where we can build the mechanical housings, the electronic in a very fast stuff, and we have a lot of software engineers to make a product really working like it have to be.
Yeah.
And now we come to the part where I have invited Francois. Please, that's your part in the presentation. You have a green button for whatever you want to explain us.
No, thank you, Dieter, for introducing us, and hi and welcome everybody. Today's presentation is going to be about personalized medication therapy. So how you can personalize the dose of your drug therapy to get a better outcome. Now, before I start, we know Dieter, as he said, we're our client. They also, Acodis, next to the technical capabilities, also does grant searches and partner searches. That's how we got to know each other, got to know Acodis, and we're now working towards the more technical part together, just so that everybody knows that. Well, first of all, why personalized medication therapy? Well, the average patient does not exist. Dieter, if you look at all the people you see here, are these the same individuals?
No.
No. That's true. They are all different. People are all different. Different genetics, different sex, different age, weight. They differ by maybe the disease they have, the co-medication they take, the comorbidity, lifestyle, diet, personal preferences. I mean, we're as diverse as there are people. Now, what does this mean? I mean, when the drug is developed, they take all these patients come into a clinical trial and get a certain amount of drug and get a certain response for them. In the end, all this information is put together in a so-called average patient, which means all the studies for all the different individuals are put together. And this average patient is the one that for the medication to be approved. So if we look at that and we saw all these different people, Dieter, I don't think that's the right way to go, to have one average patient that theoretically does not exist, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So what happens when this medication is approved, right? Well, what we see on the left-hand side is the effect curve. What is the medication doing? Well, how does it work? Well, you see below on the right-hand side the dose. So if you increase the dose, the effect will rise. You will get a good benefit. But after a certain amount, it levels out. And for a bigger change in the dose, you won't get much more benefit. Now, that would be great. Everybody would say, well, I want to be on the right-hand side. But it's not really, if you only have an effect, that would be possible. But there also is a second curve, which is the harms curve. The higher the dose, the more side effects, the more safety issues. Which means you cannot be on the right-hand side of the curve all the time. If your harms curve is steeper than that. So what we see here is actually there comes an optimal point where you get the highest effect, weighed against the benefits that it, against the harms that it generates. So for this theoretical average patient, that is the result from the trial, you get one dose size where there's, for this patient, the optimal benefit between effects, the benefits of the treatment, and the harms. Well, that's very great if you're the average, but as I just said, nobody is the average. So what happens if we take somebody who has a different curve, right? So let's take this young female here. She has a response curve, right? A green response curve, a certain effect. When the dose increases, she gets more effect, but her curve is lower than the effect curve of the average patient, which means she responds less well to the medication. Her benefit is not as big. Taking a look at her harms on the right-hand side, she has a steeper harms curve, which means she's extra sensitive to the medication increases, which means her curve is steeper than the average patient, which means her optimal point, as you see, Dieter, is a lot lower on the dosing scale and a lot lower on the effect scale. But it's tailored to her. She cannot take the higher dose that the average patient has because she will go into the side effects. So this patient is basically overdosed at the dose that is currently approved. Now, if you take another example, somebody who responds very well to the medication, we see his effect curve, very steep in the beginning, so small dose sizes make a lot of extra benefit, and it levels out. it's higher than the average patient. Now, this person also has a better tolerance for the side effects of the drug. So the higher the drug dose becomes, doesn't really matter for him. He moves way further down the dose curve. So what does it mean, Dieter? This person would basically be underdosed, right?
You're totally right, and I have this year a lot of own experience with dose and medication about that, and I would be happy if we can make it better than that what you showed here.
Yeah, because that's the thing. This patient would, at the average dose, the one that dose is approved for the total population, would be underdosed. So we need a higher dose, can also get a higher effect. So if you can balance these two curves, and you can find these curves for individual patients, you can adjust their medication therapy. Now, if I take a look at all the patients I introduced in the beginning, you can see it's a little bit of a mess, and you can see there are a lot of different dose sizes that everybody needs. But what if these dose sizes aren't there? What is the doctor going to do? He's going to say, well, I can't reduce the dose. I have 1-2 dose size. I cannot give the young woman and the young child the right dose. So this medication doesn't work. She has to get an alternative. And that's something our system wants to avoid. We want to cover the whole bandwidth of the dose and the whole bandwidth of the effect and the harms. So for every patient, our system would find an optimal dose for them. Now, if I move on, what does this system look like I'm talking about that Hedgemore is building? Well, Hedgemore has, first of all, a companion app. Well, everything's digital now, everybody has a phone. But what this companion app does, it's built specifically for the medication and the disease this patient has, right? So it tracks certain amounts of data on how well the medication works, side effects, and maybe a little bit safety indicators. This data is fed into this app, and it will be used in the next step for the dosing algorithm. Well, the dosing algorithm itself, which can be in the app itself or in the device, calculates what the optimal dose would be based on this effect for these individual patients. Now, this feedback loop basically ensures that you get the correct dose at the correct time. Now, it could work already like this, right? If there are enough dose sizes available. But for many medications, there aren't many dose sizes available. So an extension of the system would be a delivery device, which means not only do you calculate what the patient needs at certain times, you can only deliver it with this device because it has a linear way of dosing things. And you, Dieter, as an engineer, you might know, that means we can basically tailor it to anybody within a certain bandwidth, right?
I wait on your solution. I would be happy to have it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, so now we know we have the feedback data, we have the algorithm, and we have the device that can actually track, did you take the medication, did you get the actual dose? So it's basically a closed loop system. It looks a little bit like an insulin system, but then for medications that fall out of this category. And the key thing here is just to find the right response variables, not too little, not too much. You don't want to overburden the patient, to get the dosing algorithm to work. That's the key of everything. And as I said, every different drug and every different disease has its own dosing algorithm that learns and learns for yourself and for the population. Now, where are we now with this product? Well, the first thing we did is we built a prototype for acute pain. It was a generic medication that we could have hands on. This was not proprietary. And what we did is we basically built dosing device, dosing software, and compared this to the current standard of treatment with simulations. And we found basically that, yes, there is an increased benefit in the treatment effect. So the green curve, we can find the green curve for every patient, which means we can tailor the dose and have them have less pain. But because we also can find the harms curve, we can adjust that dose to the optimal point, which means less side effects. So people don't stay as long in bed, or they don't have to take as much medication or for as long, which means all the benefits, productivity returns, people can get out of the hospital, for instance, or get out of their chair or out of care. And that's basically what we did. But in this process, we realized, wait a minute, that this doesn't only work for pain. That's a great stepping stone. There are many other things, like for instance, the obesity craze right now, right? People lose a lot of weight with the medication, but afterwards they get maybe side effects, or the weight loss drops. You want to keep your weight loss. But if you adjust the dose according to the person, it will be much easier to keep that weight loss. If you look at neurology, major depression is a big thing, especially in America, where people take a lot of medication for this. You get resistance. Well, if you get resistance, you need to change the dose, you need to change the dosing regimen. The system automatically adapts to that. Oncology, same thing. We now have targeted drug therapies, which mean targeted drug therapies, not as heavy on the side effects more as it was, but you still need to dose them correctly. So we want to give people, even though they're on in a cancer treatment project, in a cancer treatment, we want to give them the best possible dose so they have the best quality of life. You already have cancer. You don't want to be bogged down by extra side effects that are not necessary because you get a too high average dose. Now, immunology, the same thing. If I take a disease like psoriasis, for instance, you get all the patches on the skins and the flare-ups. If you can get the right dose, you can keep that much more under control, which means, of course, there will be flare-ups. A medication does not cure yourself, but you can keep it more in a certain space. And the final thing is rare diseases. For rare diseases, and that's our opinion, and it happens a lot of times like this, is every rare disease dosing should be personalized because there are already so little data, there is so little known, you should really tailor it to the patient. And because these treatments are so expensive, it should be like this, right? Well, okay, so now we know patients stand to benefit, right? Everybody finds their optimal dose that works for them, which is a balance between the positive and the negative, right? But besides the patient, we can all want this as a patient, but how is it going to go on the market, right? We have to have a value proposition for everybody in the healthcare system. Well, first the physicians. Well, for the physicians, the system is largely automated, which means they can practice evidence-based medicine. You don't have to put in a lot of data, and they can really, work with this and approve the dose, for instance, from a distance, from remotely. Or the system could work all by itself. It really depends on what kind of disease you have, but it takes away a lot of work, and they have now a sort of arsenal or a wider dose range to their disposal to help their patients. If you look at the payers, well, if I can keep the patient longer on the treatment with less side effects, I generate less cost for the payer system. Of course, I pay for the medication, but I know it works or it doesn't work. So we want to have an efficiency move right over there. If I look at the pharma companies, this is also very important. The way the medication is now is not optimal for the individual. It's optimal for a group, right? For a collective that does not really exist. Now, they do stratification, which means they put patients in certain groups, but that's just the beginning part. In the end, you still have to adjust the dose, right? And for them, adding the system to their medication could improve their service offering and differentiate their clinical profile of the drug to the other competitors, because they can now say, I've squeezed the most out of my drug that I technically can for this patient. So it'd be like a whole new service level. If you look at the regulators, well, there's now data. When are people taking? What are the side effects? What other effects are there? They can all track this, so pharmacovigilance becomes a lot easier, and also reapproving or expanding indications will be a lot easier because there is a data pool that you can use. You can bring it to the collective, you can bring it back down to the individual. Doesn't matter. It's all possible. Well, for researchers, hey, the more data, the better, right? I mean, they can find new ways and why diseases develop a certain way because the patient is continuously tracked and his feedback is in there via his dose. And in the end, we have society. We want to produce less medicine, we want to throw less medicine away, and the medicine that we use, we want to put to work in the best possible manner. So that is something we can all benefit from because healthcare costs are rising, resources are scarce. We have in Europe the situation that APIs, the basic material for the drugs, is getting difficult to get. These are all things we have to think about as well. So we try to optimize everything for every stakeholder. Oh. Well, in the end, I want to conclude with the following slogan, and it depends for the patients as well as everybody tied to such a personalized dosing strategy. Our system, so Hedgemore's personalized dosing system, is to get the best out of your medication, right? We want to make this the new gold standard. So next time you get prescribed a medication that is relatively expensive, or when a treatment is a little bit more complex, why not take this system? It's a very simple handheld device. You have your app, you can get it at the pharmacy, very simple. It's not more expensive. Our goal is to make it in such a way that it basically will not add any cost to the drug. It will just optimize it, and it will finance itself over this optimization. So no big expensive advice, maybe a little co-payment in some countries, but it should be affordable because we want people to use it. That's where the power lies. And the money is made over the medicine as it is already now. Now, I don't know if anybody still has some questions. We have a little bit of time left, I see. I don't know if anybody from the audience wants to ask some. I don't know if you have a question, Dieter.
Yeah, maybe I will add some detail on that. So one of the details what we have in the beginning was we are two parts of a solution for all of you.
Yeah.
You have maybe one or two diseases, you have a doctor, you have your own experience with medicine. I have my own, and we are two companies. So Hedgemer is one of our customers. It's a startup which Akkodis helps to come in that situation that we help them for grants. But I'm openly convinced that the idea behind that, what Hedgemer wants to do for all of us, is really helping to make life more healthier.
Exactly. So the thing is, we want to make this the new standard of treatment, right? It will be difficult, and we need a mindset change, right? We need patients to think about, wait a minute, why am I being treated as some sort of average that doesn't exist? I'm my own person. My wife is their own person. My children are their own person. How can we do this? So we have to shift the mindset, and we have to shift the mindset of the patient, but also the physician. Things are going how they are going now. Some physicians are frustrated. We have to change the mind of the pharma industry. We have to change the mind of the medtech industry. So this is a very difficult challenge we have, but the only thing we can do is put out our message, show that it works, show that it has benefits, tangible, measurable, quantifiable benefits. And yeah, what we are looking for as Hedgemer, what can really help is if you go home, talk to your loved ones, talk to your physician, talk to your colleagues, especially if you're working in pharma, that there is a personalized dosing system coming and that it can benefit not only the patient but the rest of the stakeholders. And yeah, our goal ultimately is to combine this with a few big key medications to show the world that it's possible, and so we can spread the platform across indications, across diseases, and hopefully somewhere near a sick loved one of yourself. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Dieter, for giving us us as Hedgemer the opportunity to present. And yeah, have a great fair this week. Thank you very much.